Welcome, Akio. So,
Thank you.
since one of your partners has already talked quite extensively about your business, I think let's just switch this whole thing around a bit and talk about your personal life. Or at least aspects of what it's like to do what you do.
If it's really bad, I'll ask about you.
No, I don't have a personal life. You're Japanese and you do a lot of work in China. I've always been curious because it's no secret that a lot of Chinese people don't really like Japanese, or at least they're prejudiced against them. How is it working in this industry as a Japanese person?
Okay, so actually I want to then tell you a little bit about my background. So I'm Japanese, born in Tokyo, I'm born in Japan, but I actually moved to Canada when I was 16. And at the time, I actually didn't speak a word of English. And I was put in a local high school. And today, I think most high schools in Canada have a program called ESL, so you get to learn English as you go. But at the time, our high school didn't have such program, so they just put me in grade 10 class immediately. And she thought, well, our counselor thought, hey, since Akio's English is no good, he just needs to take more English classes. So he actually put me in 3 different grade 10 English classes, all the native speakers. And I had a difficult time because every day I go to school, I have no idea what was going on in my classroom. But then, at the time, I had one great feature, which was I was actually into music. And school had a school band. So I joined the school band, and I made all my friends there because as long as you can play an instrument, I was playing a keyboard at the time, you can actually make friends. And soon I picked up the language and made a lot of friends, and I was able to make this transition. So, coming to China, I had also this issue that when I first came here, I didn't speak a word of Chinese. I thought you could just do investment business in technology just speaking English. And I soon found out that if you attend a board meeting, they tried to speak English for the first 5 minutes, and every time we tried to look at a very important issue, they switched to Chinese. And I had no idea what was going on. And I realized, hey, it's the same issue. You have to learn the language. And this time in China, what helped me was that I was a geek myself. I'm actually a developer. I had my first company in 1996, so I'm part of the Web 1.0 generations. I used to make my own server code. I could still write in C if I really have to, and I can also program in ActionScript for Flash. So this time, coming to China, I actually made friends with all the Chinese Flash designers and programmers because we spoke the same language. And then from that area, I picked up the language very quickly. And so I think one of the things that I found is that if you actually have the same passion, like in this case, doing geeky things on the internet, you actually make friends. And I have found less resistance from that crowd than I would say the resistance I see in Japan, which is the opposite. I think there's a great fear in Japan that if you invest in China, you're going to get cheated and lose all your money. So today, actually, most of our prejudice I have to fight is not in China, actually in Japan, trying to change this image. Hey, China technology industry is getting more mature and getting scale, and it's not all cheating the investors' money, and there are actually great opportunities, and we are actually trying to prove that. So that's my personal experience. And then, in terms of the prejudice, I thought, yeah, all the Chinese people hate anything coming out of Japan, but then I find out this, I think post-80s generation in China, actually they grew up watching a lot of the same TV dramas and animation programs they used to watch in Japan. And they're actually all better Nintendo game players than I am. And we found there was a lot of common things. So I think it might be different if you're looking at, Chinese people, the older generation Chinese people who actually grew up in different era. But I think the kind of people I see in this room, I think I have not actually encountered kind of issues that I thought I would encounter in China.
Okay, well then let's look at the positive side of being Japanese in China. I mean, although the cultures are very different, there are obviously many similarities. Do you think you have a better understanding of the Chinese market, the way Chinese people think, the way the internet will develop in China, because you're familiar with the Japanese environment?
So actually then, I should make also another analogy to something I found in Canada. So I have an uncle who moved to Canada in the 1970s, and he was working for a Japanese trading company, and in a fishing product division. And he went to Vancouver in the 70s, and he visited salmon factories in Canada. And at the time, he was making a visit, and then during the break, he went outside to get fresh air. And he looked in a garbage can. and found out there's all those fresh salmon eggs being thrown out in the trash can. And he called the manager of the factory, hey, what's going on? You guys are throwing out all the salmon eggs in the garbage. And I thought, oh, this is no good. This is garbage. So we pay money to farmers so that they would take it away. So he realized, he called the headquarters, look, I saw gold in trash can. We should send people over right away and start salmon cannery in Canada. And so they actually created very profitable export business of shipping salmon eggs to Japan because they know there's a market and they can make a lot of money. So I'm not suggesting that I'm actually looking at garbage cans in China. However, I have actually found similar experiences, and I think Masashi mentioned a case of a company called Raku, which is a social game company in China. We know there are billions, gazillions of Chinese social game companies, but most of them don't make a lot of money because they are selling the products in the market that's not as easy to monetize. But we have found out, just like the salmon eggs, we can take the same product to Japan and package it and have the right distribution and right monetization platform. Suddenly, we have now a #1 social game company in Japan. So one of the things I would say is I probably don't understand Chinese market as well as some of our industry colleagues in the audience who actually focus on Chinese market and doing venture investment. But because I'm looking across the pond, we actually try to see where the actually breakage in value chains between the two markets. And by bridging that, we could probably find another salmon egg story out of China this time.
Right, okay, so trash cans. That's very useful. So
dumpster diving.
What's the favorite company you've ever invested in? What has been your favorite?
So obviously, what makes it successful is makes me favorite company. So right now, Raku is my favorite because we've actually seen a tremendous success. And but I want to actually maybe expand why I like it so much. I like to invest in situations where we have unfair advantage. And why I say this is because we are actually looking at social game companies in Japan too. And they're actually really great social game companies in Japan. But we found the problem is they're too small. The biggest social game companies probably in Japan has like 35 people and maybe 30 engineers at most. In China, the company we invested in, we have now close to 200 people and probably grow to 300. So we have this massive development power that's not going to be paralleled in Japan anytime soon because it's so hard to scale that big and it also take a lot more capital. And it's also not impossible, it's not possible to hire as many engineers that quickly. So we felt, hey, we can actually go into Japan and when we can repackage the company for the market and then we can absolutely bulldoze our way and any other competitors will see just too small to compete with us. And plus, we have some additional advantage because we're based in Japan and we have all the local strategic investors as our partners. All the SNS platforms, we are direct relationship with the CEO level and we also have operator relationships. So we felt, even though we are probably not the best party to understand the Chinese market, but we're probably the best party to look at both markets and try to figure out new business opportunities.
Great, Akio. Thank you very much.
Thank you.